All right. Well, again, welcome everybody. Today's webinar is over NC Conversational Merge. I want to cover a few of the little rules and things that we need to know about it when we first get started, and then we'll go through doing some programming using NC Merge. It's a very simple feature to use, but it's pretty powerful for those who have a need for it. So I think that a lot of people will see more benefit after we talk about it a little bit today, and if there was any questions, hopefully we get those answered. So the first thing we want to talk about is the fact that you need to have all of the NC programs that you're going to be using and merging with your conversational program. Those all have to be open in the project manager. So you can see here I've got 3 NC programs, 2 that are labeled NC Merge and an Army logo. And then you have to have a conversational program open that you're going to put these or merge these programs with. So if I open this Army logo, for example, it's a couple things. Number one, it has to be open. Number two, we have to have some program number at the top of the program, because this is what we're going to use to call these programs. And we want to make sure that we don't have 2 NC programs open with the same program number at the top. Because we don't go by program name, it's possible to have 2 programs open and they both have all zeros or all ones up here, for example. So we want to make sure that that number is unique. And then the next thing is we want to make sure we end the program with an M99. Making sure those 2 things are done is really the only edits that have to be done to the program. And you'll get to see a lot of what we can do with this without editing any of the code at all. So those are the rules. Got to be open in Project Manager, has to have a number, and we have to end it with M99. The next thing I want to talk about is work offset. In all of these programs I'm running today, I have stripped out any G54 through 59 or auxiliary work offset calls. What that does is it forces the control to use the conversational part setup as my work offset. If I want to, I can call a G54 in this program and it'll work just fine. I just have to make sure that my work offset, that G54, is set up correctly and it's where I expect it to be. So in this case, I'm just going to be using the part setup from the program itself. So if I go into my conversational program here, I've set up a piece of stock geometry. It's just a 6-inch cube because I'm going to use these 3-axis programs and put them on multiple sides as well. So I wanted to have a cube that I could work with, and I'm programming from the top center. So let me get some things open here. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to call the Army logo. I'm going to put it on the top of this part, and we can go through kind of how we would have to do that. So if I look back in that program, we see that the 4 digits at the top of the program are 1775. So in my conversational program, I'm going to insert the NC call block. So I'm going to insert a block before, and it's right here under miscellaneous. It's called NC program call. This works pretty much the same as you would call a subprogram from another NC program. We're going to call the program number. That's 1775. Oop, got to hit enter. And it tells you here that the program must end with M99. So if I look here, I've got an NC program call. That's the only thing in this program. And if I am to run this, we'll now see that Army logo getting machined on the top of the part. Now there are several things we can do with this. This is a G-code program, but because we've got it inside a conversational block that we're calling it from, I can actually put this in some conversational pattern blocks. So let's say that I wanted to scale this. I want to make that bigger to actually fit the size of the block that I'm programming on. So right now this is 4 inches. So I'm going to go to my conversational block, insert before that. I'll do a pattern scale. I don't want to reference any other location. I'm going to leave it where it is, but let's do 1.5. So we'll make it 1.5 times as big as it actually is in the NC program. And then I'm going to insert a pattern end. Now if I'm to redraw that, you'll see that we've scaled that up to 1.5 times its original size, and I didn't have to touch any of the G code to do that. Next, let's say I wanted to rotate this 45 degrees. We'll do a pattern loop rotate. 45 degrees. And I'm going to mirror image it just because to show the power of this. So I'm going to do a pattern mirror image. Don't want to keep the original, and I'm just going to mirror image it here. So I've got actually 3 pattern blocks here. I need 3 pattern ends. So I'll insert a pattern end. So now if I draw this, we can see that we've rotated it, we've mirror imaged it, and we've scaled it. So you can see the United States Army is now backwards. So that's actually pretty powerful for being able to do something conversationally without having to reprogram anything at all. Now, once I've used it in a conversational program, just as I showed you with patterns, it is now part of this. So I could actually do things like, if I go to the beginning here and add a holes block, I can add just regular conversational blocks to use around this now. I'm going to drill. And we'll put some locations here. So now we should have some holes that go in the corners here. So you can see that once it's brought in, now I can do other things that I may not have needed the CAM system for. This could have been an NC 3D pocket, surface pocket, and I just needed some holes put in the part to hold it down or whatever. One of the other benefits to NC Merge is that I can use it in a conversational transform plane. So I've got a couple of other NC programs here that I want to put on other sides of the part. Let's say that the first one I have, I want to put it on the front side of this part, and I have a 5-axis machine, but I only have a 3-axis post. Well, I can take that 3-axis G code, put it inside a conversational transform plane to put it on the front. And if you're not sure how conversational transform planes work, that was one of the recorded webinars we've done in the past, so you could go back and take a look at that. On the Hurco website, if you go to the support tab, there's a link to all the recorded webinars, and this will become one of them after today. But anyway, so I'm going to put that here on the front. So how would I do that? Well, I'm going to insert a transform plane. I'm going to move to the front center, rotate around the X. Next block will be a program call. And then for every conversational transform plane, I have the transform plane end. So now if I go to draw this, I'll not only have my 4 holes in my Army logo, but I'll also get a feature on the front of the part. Now let's say we wanted to put that same thing on the right side of the part. Well, just like before, I need a transform plane, an NC program call, and an end. So I'm just going to copy these blocks because I'm going to call the same program. I'm going to move to the center of the right side. And rotate to the right side. Now we'll have that on the right side of the part as well. Now we went over some using transform plane last time to be able to orient things the way we need it. Well, you're going to see that when I rotated around the y-axis to put this on the right side of the part, it didn't orient it the way that I wanted it to, or the way that it was programmed. We programmed this where the bottom of this G-code program is actually aligned with the x-axis. Well, it's still aligned with the x-axis because when I rotated around the y-axis, that means that this is now x on the part. But that's not the orientation that I wanted on the workpiece. So what I can do is I can use my transform plane to rotate to the front of the part and then around to the side, and that'll help me orient this feature the way that I want it to be. If I go back to that transform plane, my 0 point is going to be the same, but now I'm going to rotate to the front of the part. I'm going to leave it, no rotation around Y, and then I'm going to rotate around the Z-axis 90. And what this will do then is get us into position so the feature is now where we want it to be, or oriented the way that we need it to be. So you can see it's oriented there. And again, just like on the top, once this becomes a conversational program, I can do things like, let's just put a mill circle block there. And again, we've just jumped back out of NC into conversational, and we put some more features on here. And there's the circle that we put. So that's kind of the basics of this. To be able to call an NC program, as I told you, it's really nothing to it. It's very, very simple. And once we call it into the program, we can pretty much treat it just like a conversational block. And it's just using 3-axis posts for the machine. Now, a couple things I want to talk about, though, if you're going to do this with a NC program. I'm sorry, with a 5-axis machine. So we have a 3-axis post that we've posted this out, and I don't have to change any of the basic code to make this happen, but something has to cause the machine to rotate and orient the tool correctly to be able to cut this. So there is one hand edit that we have to do in the program to make this happen. If I were to open this NC program that we have here that's doing this, we can look down to the very first XYZ position that we want to, that the post has posted out. In this case, it was this line here. The Z was on the line just after this, and these didn't exist. So the hand edits that I actually have to do to make a 3-axis program work is I have to make sure that that first position, the X, the Y, and the Z are all on the same programmed line. I'm going to add, this was a G0, I just changed it to a G8.2, which we call automatic safe reposition, and that will cause the 5-axis machine to automatically position. I don't have to call any rotations around A, B, or C axis. This will automatically have it. And I'm going to just always type in these same things here, I0, J0, K1. What that does is it tells the machine, I want you to automatically position to this X, Y, and Z position location and then rotate so the tool is perpendicular to that work piece. So this is the only hand editing that I had to do to the regular 3-axis posted program to make it work. And then of course I had to make sure I had a 4-digit number up here at the top and an M99. And then I was able to use this in a multi-axis program and put it around the part. The next one we have is just another standard 3-axis program. Again, I hand edited that first position with the G8.2 and the IJK. And we can put that on, let's say we put that on the left side of the part. So we'll insert transform plane. We're going to move to the left side, center, and I'll rotate to the front, and this time -90 to the left side of the part. Next block, NC program call. And then we'll end that transform plane. So now we should have that show up on the left side of the part. Oh, the internet's slow here today. There we go. And there's a different NC program that I was able to call. So that's pretty much everything that you need to know about using NC merge. There are a lot of different reasons to be doing this. Number one, it could be you're doing some simple holes or you're facing off the top of the part, maybe you're squaring up the block, and then you're going to call an NC program that is doing a lot of surfacing with a ball nose end mill. That would be one use. I've seen people use this for their logo, where they'll use the NC merge to bring the logo in and position it, and then they scale it up or down, whatever they need to do to put that in location. We've got an upcoming video that we're going to do. One of the guys in applications, Dan DeFries, today, he's working on a 7-bladed, full simultaneous 5-axis impeller. And what he's done is he's done one of the blades using Mastercam to create that blade itself. Then he uses NC merge and transform plane groups to then pattern that NC merged blade 7 times around the part. So we're able to complete that impeller all with one fairly short NC program and then some conversational blocks. So that'll be something that'll be coming out here really soon that we'll be putting on social media and on YouTube. But it's definitely going to be something that'll be interesting and something that I'm not aware of anybody else being able to do.